Ryan Hartman, Matt Boldy, Marcus Foligno. Those are the three questions. We had asked this earlier in the year, but this week's up for debate. We've kind of readdressed it as far as the biggest surprise. All three of these guys certainly been surprising in a very good way for the Minnesota Wild club. Alexis, do I even need to ask who your biggest surprise is?
Well, you're
going to change
surprised.
it. Here we go.
So first of all, I'm going to throw Boldy off because I think people have expected this out of him. The only reason I included him is you never really know what you're going to get out of a player in their rookie season. It can take some longer to adjust than others. And I think he's had a very good season, given the fact that he's a rookie. You know, he's dealing with an injury right now, but I've been impressed with him. But I think a lot of people expected him to play like this. So to me, it was between Marcus Foligno and Ryan Hartman. I'm going to go with Ryan Hartman just because I don't know if it's because of what he's getting paid. Nobody expected this out of him. I don't know if it's because he's never done this with the Wild before. Nobody expected this. But I just think he's so quiet about it too. I mean, he just goes about it every single day, gets the job done. He scored some big time goals. He's a feisty guy. He's that team player. And I just think that this is one, if Marcus Foligno, finding a little bit of a scoring touch to his game is surprising, but to me, the Ryan Hartman one is a lot more surprising. So I'm going to go with Hartsey, just because night in and night out, I'm so impressed with him and what he's brought to the table this season and the consistency he's been able to have with it. I think a lot of people thought when he first did this, they're like, oh, this is a great 10 games for him, but it's like, no, this is a great season for him. As we're now down to just over 10 games left in the season. So Ryan Hartman is my answer. Jesse, who are you going to go with?
I mean, I think it's hard to disagree with Ryan Hartman. He's a bottom six guy always in my head, right? Like he's not a top player. So, but for sake of conversation, I will say Matt Boldy because he is a first round pick, right? So he comes with these expectations. He struggled in college up until his last year or two, right? And he was in the AHL, and there was that patience, as we talked about with Joe in segment 2, and as we've talked about at length before. So I think the surprise isn't necessarily that he's good. It's that he was so good so quickly. And, it's certainly he's kind of come back down to earth. He's still performing at a very high level, but that immediate chemistry he formed with Kevin Fiala was surprising to me because I think it was hard for Fiala to find a liney that he could connect with. And so that's the surprise. Again, it's not necessarily that because I've been high on Matt Boldy since the All-American Prospects game that was held in St. Paul before he was drafted. Like I knew there was something special. So it's not necessarily the talent wise, it's just that how quickly he adjusted to the NHL game, how quickly he was able to really produce at that elite level was a little surprising, I think. And again, rightfully so in the best way possible.
Well, and he went from, being just your average rookie to being talked about for Calder. And listen, this was mostly Minnesota fans saying this because obviously the
NHL dropped it so low,
the players who are most likely to get nominated for the Calder are pretty far above Boldy, but he for a hot minute, people were talking about like, hey, we should, if he keeps up this pace, he could very well maybe be a sneaky, dark horse here for the Calder Trophy. So obviously that subsided a bit. He hasn't had the points production we saw a little earlier in the season. Like I said, he's been injured here, but I think that's a great point though. The speed at which he's developed has been pretty remarkable.
And not only that, he was injured quite a bit in Iowa, right? And he had that bad injury to start the year too, that delayed his debut with the club. So, just in general, I think it's been a welcome surprise, but all three of them, as you'd mentioned, Alexis, Foligno, it's great. I do agree. It's great that he's added the scoring touch. I think that surprised himself, but also you've been in the NHL for a while now, bud, and you're playing at a different role a little bit. So that's great that he just kind of found that part of the game. It's probably not all in all surprising. And Hartsey too, I think he's, like you said, the second biggest surprise. So